Hi guys, welcome to this video. I'm Prashant, I'm the founder of WordPandit, and I'm bringing this series of videos to you where I'll explain you words related to Corona. Corona is something which has impacted us a lot, right, in the last few years, and last 4 to 5 years it has changed the world. And one more thing it has changed is it has changed the vocabulary of this world. And that is why we are studying these words, right? And my reason for putting this across is very, very simple. I'm going to do a whole series of words. I'm numbering this starting with set number 1. In fact, we'll cover as many words as we want to in this particular manner, where we'll connect words which are being used to describe Corona, which are being used to describe this virus, which are being used to describe this pandemic. Now, we've got 3 words here today that we'll get started with. The first word is, and remember, some of these words, I'm hiding this word on purpose from you. Some of these words, right, you might see a difference in their usage. We would have used this word in a completely different context altogether. We will use it in the context of Corona in these particular videos. And through this, I like to teach you contextual vocabulary, how words, they change their meaning in different contexts. So in the context of Corona, the word that we've got here is novel. Now, this novel is not your everyday novel that writers write. This is not talking about that particular novel here. This novel is referring to something which is new, something which is original, something not seen, anything which is the likes of something which has not been seen before. That is what novel here is. In the context of Corona, this was a novel virus. That is what it was. This pandemic, this was a novel virus, and that is how this word is used, right? It's used to describe that the coronavirus is a new strain that was not previously identified in humans, and hence it was novel in nature. Words which are synonyms of this: different, innovative, odd, offbeat, peculiar. These are all words. This is a cluster of words that you can remember with the word novel. You can correlate it with the word novel. Always make clusters, remember words in groups. Once you do that, what is it that you achieve? You learn multiple words using the same meaning. So that is what the emphasis should be on. The next word that we've got here is vector. Now, vector is a word that you would have used in probably mathematics. What does the word vector have to do with a disease such as COVID-19? What does it possibly mean? Again, it's not a complicated word. It's not a word that you might be hearing for the first time, but it's a word which has very specific usage. Now, vector refers to an insect or an animal that carries a disease from one animal or plant to another, right? So a vector is nothing else but the agent that carries and transmits that infectious pathogen into another living organism, that disease which is carried, right? Now, in the case of Corona, who were the vectors? What was the route of transmission? How was this disease being carried from one person to another? Humans themselves were vectors, right, in the case of Corona, right? So that is what they had become. Contaminated surfaces had become vectors, right? They had become transmission vectors for coronavirus. And those contaminated surfaces hence needed a lot of cleaning. Hence you had those masks, hence you had those sanitizers. So all those contaminated surfaces, they were vectors. What were they doing? They were carrying that disease. So vectors are nothing else, but it refers to agents that carry pathogens from one living organism to another. That is what vectors are, right? Generally, vectors are carried through respiratory droplets, right? So, for example, if you remember, at that point of time, it was a huge taboo. When Corona was at its peak, if you coughed in front of someone, you were pretty much assured of beating, right? Because that's not the most polite thing to do. If you're carrying the disease and to cough in front of someone, it's a sure shot recipe for getting beaten up. The third word that we've got in this set here is pathogen. It's a word that I've already used today. What is a pathogen? A pathogen is nothing else but it's the virus, bacterium, or any other microorganism that causes the disease. So Corona-19 was nothing else. COVID-19 was the SARS-CoV-2 pathogen. That is what it was. That is what the virus's name was. That is what triggered this illness. The pathogen triggered an illness that made half the student body sick. So it refers to nothing else but the virus, the bacterium that caused that illness. So pathogen is nothing else, but it refers to the virus responsible for the outbreak of the disease. So the virus responsible for the outbreak of the disease is the pathogen. So 3 words that we've learned today: pathogen, vector, and novel. 3 words related to corona. These are words which are used any which way. So if you look at when you deal with pandemics and when you deal with diseases, these are words that would be used. But in the last 5 years, their usage has become very, very common. The first set of words you learn with respect to corona, this is the first set of words that you learn. We will have more such words. We will have a huge set of words related to this particular field which you can use, and these are words that you can be aware of with respect to contextual usage. I hope you had a pleasant time in watching this video, and I hope you learned something valuable. Thank you very much for watching this video. This is Prashant signing off with his 2 favorite words. Happy learning.